What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We got another fighter breakdown coming at you. And what better fighter to break down than the one and only Robert Whittaker? This dude is amazing. Some of the best striking out there. Some of the best takedown defense in the biz. Let's get to breaking this fighter down. Let's go. What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Now, before we start breaking these guys down, we got UFC Saudi Arabia going down this Saturday, and it was supposed to be Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker, but Khamzat Chimaev ended up coming down with some medical issues, and Ikram Aliskerov jumps in, man. He answered the UFC's call and says, I am down to face off against one of the best 185ers in the division right now. Let's make it happen in Saudi Arabia. So, make sure you guys tune in at the end of the video. I'm gonna let you guys know what each fighter has to do to win the flipping fight. My man Robert Whittaker is definitely one of the best 185ers to ever step out in the octagon. This guy's got 26 wins and 7 losses. 26 wins? That is ridiculous. Now, Robert Whittaker is definitely one of the best strikers in the 185 division, in my eyes, dude. He's very, very good striker, almost like a karate style. This dude is 26 wins and 7 losses. Got some amazing wins over some high-level MMA fighters, studs in the division. This dude's knocked out Brad Tavares. He's knocked out Derek Brunson. He's knocked out Jacare Souza. He's got wins over Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, and went 10 rounds. Let's not forget, 10 rounds with Yoel Romero. The dude is a flipping stud. We're gonna start off this fighter breakdown with footwork, baby. Breaking it down. A little bit of footwork. Now, what am I talking about when I'm talking about footwork? Well, the ability to be able to move forward, to move backwards, and of course, side to side, and the ability to switch sides. I'm gonna throw that one in there as well. You know how I like to do it, baby. And that determines whether this guy is gonna be a great striker or not. Now, you got some great strikers that just stand there, but in my eyes, you gotta fight with some finesse. And man, does Robert Whittaker fight with finesse, baby. And we're gonna start off with his ability to move forward. Now, predominantly, this Robert Whittaker guy keeps most of the time his left side forward. Hands slightly down, just like a lot of karate fighters do. Now, why do you keep your hands down? Number one, you keep your hands down because most fighters look at their opponent in the eyes. Now, you're supposed to be looking center mass, but most of the time, you see them look at you in the eyes. Now, if you're looking up here and my hands are down here, you're gonna have a hard time seeing those hands coming from different angles. Two, it helps distribute your weight. If you ever watch Robert Whittaker, especially when he's fighting off against guys that are really aggressive, he uses those hands to distribute the weight to get his head out of the way, to evade those strikes. Not like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's good at this. I'm not so good at that. I'm better, and Robert Whittaker's better at using those hands to move that head faster. And of course, 3, which is what Robert Whittaker is very good at, his takedown defense. He keeps his hands fairly low, so when guys shoot for the legs, his hands are down there to defend. Now, that said, my man Robert Whittaker's ability to move forward is precise. It's explosive. It's fast, which makes this guy so good. He can cover that gap so flipping fast, it throws people off. They're like, what the freak, man? He did it against Jacare Souza. He did it against Izzy Adesanya. His blitz was very fast. Even though he got caught later on, it still worked the majority of the time. He did it against Derek Brunson. He was relentless with that blitz with Derek Brunson. And Kevin Gastelum. Check those fights out, man. You'll see his blitz is so flipping fast. Now, his ability to move back is just as good. He fought a guy named Colton Smith. I think he was the Ultimate Fighter winner. I think it was USA versus Team. I don't remember. But anyways, these guys face off, or I think they were on the same team. I think it was like the finale. Colton Smith versus Robert Whittaker. Now, Colton Smith was predominantly a wrestler, so he was very, very aggressive. And what put Colton Smith down was Robert Whittaker's ability to back up and strike. As Colton Smith was lunging forward, Robert Whittaker was backing up, throwing check hooks like crazy, man. So he kept the distance, right? Didn't allow his opponent to get an inch on him. His ability to back up and strike is so good. And of course, his angles. His angles are amazing. We're gonna get into that in just a second. We're gonna move on to variety of technique, okay? Now, what am I talking about when I'm talking about variety of technique? Well, I think at the top tier, the echelon of high-level striking, you got to have a ton of weapons in your arsenal. If you don't have a ton of weapons, then you're very, very good with the weapons that you have. And Robert Whittaker is one of those guys. He doesn't do the flying knees. He doesn't do the spin hook kicks too often. But what he does, he's got great boxing, and he's able to put his hands and his feet together. He combines the two. And this is where I'm going to get in with that side-to-side movement and his variety of technique, because my man Robert Whittaker has a 1-2 head kick that's out of this world. He's put majority of his fighters on their behinds with the 1-2 head kick. Now, what makes this combination so good? Well, going back to his blitz, right? His blitz has got to be explosive. It's so fast that whenever he blitzes on a guy, they don't expect it. They're like, oh my gosh. He smokes him in the head with that one, boom, and then he follows it up with the two. Now, after you're getting smoked in the head with a 1, you're trying to evade that 2 with everything you got. So either you fade back, which doesn't give you room to really move side to side because you're off balance. You're leaning back over your hips. And you use your hands to try to parry that 2, but you're not trying to hit him with the 2. That's the distraction. And as that 2 was coming across, Robert Whittaker's right leg kick is coming up to your dome piece. So as you're trying to block that 2, the head kick's already there landing. Now, how does he do that? He moves forward. As he's throwing the 2, he's angling off to the side. He's no longer in front of you. And that's what makes that head kick so precise to your dome. So he's moving forward. He's putting his punches and kicks together, and he's angling off to the side, which if your opponent ever gets his position back and tries to sit down and counter strike you, you're not there. You're off to the side. But he's so good at that 1-2 head kick. It's unbelievable. And I think with the variety of technique, even if that's all he's got, dude, the dude's amazing. I mean, he's got so much more, but that 1-2 head kick, beautiful. I wish mine was just as good. I've only literally knocked one dude out with the 1-2 head kick. That was my first fight ever. This dude's hit some of the best middleweight guys in the world and dropped them. Amazing. Moving on to distance management. To be able to fight at all ranges, my man Robert Whittaker can fight at all ranges. You got long range, I gotta close the gap in order to hit you. I've got kickboxing range where I can kick you and I'm still at range to be able to put my hands on you. Boxing range where I can put my hands on you, but I'm too close to throw my kicks. And of course, close range whenever you're in that clinch. Now, I think Robert Whittaker is predominantly a long range fighter. He's very good at closing that gap. That's not to say that he can't put you to sleep from that mid-range, that kickboxing and that boxing range, because he's got great boxing. If his opponent's really aggressive, he likes to stick that jab out there. He's got a solid jab. He knocked Brad Tavares out in that boxing range as well. He also put out Clint Hester with a knee to the dome and then ground and pounded him out. So that was close range. He's very good close range. He's got great boxing, great kickboxing range, but most of the time, he likes to stay on the outside. He likes to pick his shots. He likes for you to try to close the gap and he's countering you. Or if you're waiting back because he is countering you, he's not afraid to close that gap very fast, hit you with that 1-2 head kick. Now, Robert Whittaker is one of my favorite fighters in the middleweight division. Of course, Chris Weidman's number 1. Come on, I love you, Chris. You my boy. But Robert Whittaker, he's got a finesse about him. And I think it has to do with his distance management, right? Not allowing his opponent to get too close, not allowing them to get too far away. He keeps them at range. And I think that allows a little bit of a finesse when it comes to his striking. For instance, when Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo, right? It was such precise distance management, it made it look easy. And that's how Robert Whittaker does it, man. He puts his hands and feet together. He's got amazing variety. He's got good distance management, and he's got great footwork, which makes him one of the best strikers in the middleweight division. Now, this Saturday in Saudi Arabia, he's going off against Ikram Aliskerov, which is another great striker. He's not afraid to take the fight to the ground, but predominantly this guy likes to keep it standing. Now, what does Robert Whittaker got to do this Saturday in Saudi Arabia to get that W? I think against Ikram Aliskerov, he's going to have to keep the distance and pick him apart. Use that amazing jab that he's got. No telegraph jab, just to pick him apart. Break him down with that jab. And I think once you get Ikram biting on that jab, that's when that 2 and that head kick is going to land. But you got to mix it up. You can't just headhunt. He's going to have to eat up the legs a little bit, stick that jab in his face, and just stay on the outside. If Ikram tries to close the gap, he's going to have to use that distance management, that backing up movement and footwork to be able to keep him at bay either with that check hook or that jab. I do believe that Robert Whittaker can win the fight by unanimous decision, or if he's able to put that right leg upside his head, he'll put him to sleep. So Robert Whittaker, keep him on the outside, pick him up with your jab, and try to find the opportunity to land that head kick. Now, Ikram Aliskerov is a very good striker as well. He's very heavy-handed, has put dudes to sleep with one strike. So what Ikram's gonna have to do is try to hem Robert Whittaker up using that cage. If he can prevent Robert Whittaker from moving side to side or backing up, I think he lands one of those heavy shots, he could definitely hurt Robert Whittaker. Or wait for Robert Whittaker to blitz in. This is how Izzy Adesanya put Robert Whittaker out. He waited on Robert Whittaker to blitz in. Now, when you're blitzing in, you got to be careful, especially when you got an opponent who's staying stationary. You got to blitz in and angle off. If you continue forward, your opponent that's standing still can block and counter very easily, which is what put him out against Izzy Adesanya. So I think if Ikram can stand his ground, allow Robert Whittaker to blitz, block those techniques, and throw counters off of that, I think he can counter him and put him to sleep. If he touches that chin, Robert, you're going out, man. You can't let him touch that chin. Keep him on the outside. Let me know what you guys think about this fight this Saturday in Saudi Arabia. Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. Let me know your thoughts and who you think is going to win that fight this weekend, baby. Thanks for tuning in. I love you. Peace.